Before the break, we were talking about the lottery. It's $1.9 billion for the Powerball. I think payout after some taxes is going to be like close to $1 billion. That's massive. But if I did win the lottery, I would do what my next guest does, and that is sit around, make documentaries. I would also make music. It's just one of my passions. But I've always said that. It kind of came to that realization being a news hound, and I love editing video. But of course, you gotta set a lot aside to delve deep and to make a documentary, and that's something that Zach Baliva is done multiple times, and he's bringing his most recent project to Springfield here soon. Zach, thanks for taking time with us this morning with Springfield's Morning News. How you doing?
Good. Great to be here. And yeah, that lottery that you mentioned made me think back to my weekend running around town hanging up posters for this screening. You know, maybe we could have some publicity, a marketing budget if I was to hit that lottery jackpot. So got to buy a ticket, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the screening's going to be November 14th, just a week away at the Hoagland Center for the Arts. The film, Potentially Dangerous. Zach, tell us about it.
Well, the subtitle is When It Was a Crime to Be Italian, and this tells the story of a time during World War II when Italians were persecuted, in some cases even interned, as America's enemy aliens. Of course, we were fighting against Italy in the war at the time, and most people are familiar with the experience of Japanese people living in America, but what is not told is the similar story of what happened to Italian immigrants and Italians living in America during that time, and that's what this documentary looks into.
So what was the passion behind this that drove you to set out and make this documentary?
Well, I'm Italian by descent. I'm a dual citizen. I've lived and worked in Rome and in Venice a couple different times. And as somebody who's worked in the film industry, I was aware of the Russo Brothers Italian-American Film Forum. The Russo brothers are two of the biggest working directors in Hollywood right now, having directed some Marvel movies, Cherry, most recently The Gray Man for Netflix. They have a film forum every year that seeks to highlight and elevate an unknown Italian story. And so I wanted to enter their film forum, which gets hundreds of applicants. They award small grants to a couple different productions each and every year. But I needed a story to tell. So I Googled unknown Italian story. And what comes up when you do that is a project called Una Storia Segreta, which translates to a secret story or a secret history about this very situation. And so I contacted the author and started to learn more and asked if anyone had ever made a documentary. And what really clinched it for me was when I learned that during this era, many Italians were detained inside Ellis Island. And for me, that juxtaposition was just so interesting because my family and others, of course, coming across to the United States, see the Statue of Liberty, see Ellis Island as this beacon of hope. You know, we went there as a family when I was a kid to visit Ellis Island and to see where our ancestors entered this country through. And to know that not so many years later, many of them were detained inside the same facility was just a great jumping off point for this story.
It's incredible. We're talking with Zach Baliva. He's going to be screening his film, Potentially Dangerous, at the Hoagland Center for the Arts, November 14th. Tickets are going to be available at the box office, and I believe you can get those through the Hoagland Center's website. But Zach, this obviously is something that you put together. You sought some grants. You also got some big names to help in lending their credentials to this film. Tell us about who you got signed on as one of the producers.
Yeah, so the Russo Brothers Film Forum was actually a competition, and we ended up winning the Russo Brothers Italian-American Film Forum in 2021. That gave us some momentum. It was sponsored by a couple different groups, the Italian Sons and Daughters of America and the National Italian-American Foundation. And so that kind of put us on the map and gave us a little bit of credence to reach out to some actors, producers, directors with connections to Italy. A great and obvious target for us became John Turturro, a legendary actor, most recently Emmy nominated for the Apple Plus TV show Severance. He gives a great performance in that show.
Well, not to diminish his other characters, which are iconic. I mean, he plays Jesus in The Big Lebowski. He plays so many just iconic characters, but you reached out and you got him on board?
Well, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize John's really deep connections to Italy. His father was in the U.S. Navy. He comes from Sicily and Puglia, and he's worked with some of the biggest names in Italian cinema. There's a legendary Italian director, Nanni Moretti. John was in one of his most recent films. He's actually directed a documentary about the musical traditions in Naples, and he's worked with other well-known Italian authors and playwrights. And so he really became a great advocate for our project, and we're just, excited to have him on board as an executive producer.
Pretty incredible stuff. Of course, we're talking about Potentially Dangerous, and that's a new documentary. Zach Baliva is the director and producer behind it. He's going to be screening that. One showing only?
Just one showing in Springfield, and I want to highlight some of the local connections. We shot some reenactments of the first-person testimony. We interviewed people from World War II who remember the FBI raiding their homes, taking their parents out of their homes, detaining them, interning them. We talked about their family trauma, and to reenact some of those memories, we shot scenes using Springfield and Central Illinois talent at the Christian County Historical Society. One of our producers is my wife, Naomi Baliva. The third producer is one of my longtime friends, Noah Reedhead, who grew up in Taylorville. Noah was also our cinematographer and our editor. So lots of local connections, and we're really excited to share this project with those who worked on it and family and friends in the Springfield area with this screening at the Hoagland. Noah and I grew up doing plays at the Theater Center and at the Muni, so to be able to use local actors, for us, it's a really nice kind of full circle moment, and we're really excited to be present at the screening.
So again, the screening is happening at the Hoagland Center for the Arts a week from today, November 14th, so make your plans to get there, get your tickets. Is there going to be like a Q&A afterwards and a discussion?
Yeah, exactly. There will be a Q&A with my wife, Naomi, and I. We have Andrew Hansen leading and moderating a discussion, and we'll take some questions from the audience. People can get their tickets now at the Hoagland website. We've got an event page on Facebook as well, and they can find us on our website at potentiallydangerousfilm.com.
Potentially Dangerous Film. Again, Zach, for people just now tuning in, tell us what the film's about and where you're going to be coming up next week.
Yeah, so it tells the story of Italians in America detained and interned as America's enemy aliens during World War II. Next week, a week from today, you can come join us at the Hoagland, 7 p.m. on the 14th of November for a hometown screening of the documentary.
Zach, what's next for you? You've been making films for years now. This is a huge success that you've had with this particular one. Are you only in the space of documentaries, or do you get a little bit more out into kind of the storytelling and fiction movies?
Well, after you do the hard work of making a film, you learn that exploiting and broadcasting a film is another full-time job. So we're really excited that we'll be able to take Potentially Dangerous to the PBS ecosystem starting next year. It'll be made available to all 350 PBS member stations, including our local member station. But getting to that finish line has been another full-time job. Haven't had a ton of time to think about what's next. I do work in narrative films as well, and so always looking for the next big project. Maybe thinking about how we can bring more narrative and documentary filmmaking to Springfield. We've got a great local arts community. There are some other filmmakers and people working in commercial TV, film production, and media working here in the area. So how can we collaborate and get something going? I just recently moved from California back to the Springfield area, so really looking to figure out how we can sort of connect with some like-minded people out there and do something great together.
Well, and what's fantastic is there are so many untold stories from people who've had struggles in their lives to sports heroes that have come from low beginnings to all the political nonsense that's happening here in Illinois, and let alone the rest of the country and around the world. So there's never a shortage of there's never a drought of topics. It's just you got to find that right one that you're passionate about and to literally pour your everything into, and that's what you've done here with Potentially Dangerous. Zach Baliva, greatly appreciate you taking the time today. Great to see you. Welcome back to Springfield, and congratulations on the success of this, and guaranteed you're going to see a lot more success, all right?
Much appreciated. Thanks for the time.
It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY.